What's up, guys? We are back with another Mythic Legions Poxxus wave review, and we're taking a look at one of the two sort of generic sorcerer wizard type characters in this wave. And this is the bad guy. We're taking a look at ARRIZAK today. So we've got him here in our standard Mythic Legion style packaging. He's a regular figure. You got him there in the window, Mythic Legion's logo down there on the bottom, Poxxus faction card on one spine, portrait and bio on the other, and then of course, just like the rest of the standard figures, you've got this beautiful shot of artwork from Nate Barch on the back of Poxxus himself, cross-sell for the other figures in the wave, and then our write-up of Mythos. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, ARRIZAK from the Poxxus wave, our evil wizard, dark magician, sorcerer, whatever you want to call him. So the counterpart to Samir on the good side, basically. You've got two, I guess, stereotypical wizard type guys in this wave. And honestly, these two figures, well, this figure and Samir, were kind of not on my radar for this particular wave. They really weren't my focus because they're just guys in robes, but as is almost always the case, once I get it in hand, I'm like, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing, and this figure's really doing it for me for a number of reasons. Now, if you've ever messed with the Father Christmas figures, you kind of know what's going on here, because this is not just a wizard. There is a fully armored 2.0 body under here, which is kind of cool. So that also does mean we have 2.0 articulation to talk about also. So what I'm going to do, at least for this part, I'm going to take him apart so you can see what he does. The actual robes don't really hinder him at all. So we can take him off and not really worry about, you know, showcasing what he can or can't do incorrectly. And it all comes off really, really easily as well, which I always like. So this is what he looks like underneath, you know, on the Wizard's Day Off. Standard 2.0 figure, so this is like, you know, something you would see on like an elf builder or a knight builder, something like that. So we got a head that can look up a little bit. He really can't look down because he has that monster beard. You've got your tilt and rotation. Arms, of course, go out at the shoulder. They swivel. We've got single jointed, swiveling elbows, swivel at the gauntlet, swivel at the wrist and hinge. 2.0 figure, so that means you have a diaphragm cut. So he's going to go backwards a little bit, forward. Tilt side to side is really nice on these and this body. It's also a swivel point. You do have a waist twist down there as well still. Your legs are going to go out about that far. They do kick forward all the way. They kick backwards a good bit. You got a thigh twist up there. Single jointed, swiveling knee. And then you've got your swivel, you got rocker, and you got hinges down at those ankles. So he does move just fine. You know, if you're familiar with one 2.0 figure, you're basically familiar with them all. But the soft goods on this figure don't really get in the way of anything. Arms still have really good range. Doesn't impact the torso really either. It just drapes over the figure, which I do really like. Of course, the one thing that does hinder him is the beard, but that would have happened whether he had soft goods or not. The main focus of this figure, though, at least until we get to accessories, because this guy is loaded with accessories, is the soft goods. You know, he has a standard knight body underneath, so if you're in the market for like a black 2.0 knight body, this might be the guy to go with to get a lot of those parts. But for my money, it's all about the soft goods. And of course, we are now in the era of Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, where we just get, you know, better soft goods than we would have ever expected. This is the same company that, you know, originally was putting out just the flattest, flimsiest little capes for a while, and now we are at, like, you know, top level when it comes to soft goods. You know, this is stuff that you're not going to see on your average action figure. And I think this particular figure, this wave really does showcase a lot of what we're going to get going forward, how far we've come with this line. And I just really, really like this. I mean, this absolutely screams classic, stereotypical, like Dungeons and Dragons, sorcerer, wizard type of character. He does get a little bit of augmentation when it comes to accessories that we'll talk about in a bit, but this is how he looks in the box. And I think he looks fantastic. I love this black and purple color scheme. I absolutely love the way they did the hood on this. It's a separate piece. You know, you saw me take it off. So the collar just sits down there and then the hood is separate. So it's not part of the actual robe itself, which does help in taking him apart in some ways. And then if you wanted to use that hood elsewhere, I suppose you could do that. But it also means you don't have to have it. So if you don't want that hood on him at all, or that collar, you have that option. You know, it's Velcroed shut, so you can easily take it off. It's got this long tabard piece as well with this nice little inlay design. You know, it's just supposed to look sort of evil in some way, and it definitely adds a little bit of oomph to the fabric and to the presentation of the figure. But the way it fits, the way it hangs, you know, it's a little bit baggy. It's a little bit oversized, which obviously fits for a wizard, for a sorcerer. So he's got these big long sleeves. This is all wired, so the stitching on the sleeves is wired, so you can kind of roll them up if you truly wanted to get him up out of the way, and kind of, you know, when you have him like, you know, showcasing his power or something, you can sort of bend the arm back a little bit and kind of hold them in place. This tabard piece is separate, but it's attached at the top, so it's also wired, so you can get it moving. The robe itself is fully wired, so you can push it all the way back, get it draped out when he's, you know, casting a spell or something, and the energy is sort of, you know, making a little bit of a wind going, and you can push that back and add some dynamic posing to the figure, because otherwise he'd be very basic. He'd be very stoic, just standing there in his big overcoat, basically. But the fact that it's fully wired does add a huge level of display and just makes him infinitely more fun. So I'm really happy with the way this turned out. I think it looks fantastic. I'm really curious to try this on other body types, this particular robe, to see how else it will work on like a 1.0 figure, something like that. And then, of course, we've got our head sculpt up here, and he does come with a second one, but this is the one he comes with in the box, and I'm really, really happy with this. This is easily one of the best looking heads, faces in the Mythic line as far as I'm concerned. So let's take this hood down a bit. So he's got a fully bald noggin there, but he's got this super, super long gray and white beard. So very reminiscent of what we've seen with like Father Christmas, but it's all about his expression. He definitely looks evil. You know, he kind of gives me like a, you know, a Saruman kind of vibe with his overall expression. He's angry, got a little bit of a scowl going, but then it's those piercing red eyes that absolutely sell the idea that he is, of course, not a good guy. So I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Paint up there looks terrific. You know, there's definitely a night and day difference for me with this particular head sculpt than some of the older unhelmeted heads in the line. This definitely shows another instance of them stepping up their game and giving us, you know, something that we likely would have never seen at this level years and years ago. So another just terrific looking example of a new type of character in the line. Now, as far as accessories goes, this may be the area where ARRIZAK is actually my favorite, because there is honestly so much in this figure. Very much a value-heavy figure if you want to think about Legions in that way, and I know a lot of folks do when it comes to customizing or swapping or all that stuff, but he has literally something of everything here. We get basically a hands pack, we get an effects pack, we get a crazy weapon, all sorts of stuff with this guy. So to start with, we do get an extra head sculpt, and this, you know, to keep going, this may be one of my favorite alt heads in the entire line right now, because it is one of the most expressive alt heads we have ever gotten, period, out of Legion. So I've loved this. Not only does he have a different expression, so you have, you know, a little bit of a different scowl going, he's screaming, his beard is now windswept, and he loses the pupils in his eyes, which I'm always a big fan of, especially when it comes to bad guys. So this looks awesome. This is probably going to be my default head for, you know, whatever version of ARRIZAK I put on a shelf. Very, very happy with that. We do get 3 extra sets of hands, so he comes with 8 hands total. So it's kind of like a mini hands pack. He's got laterally hinged gripping hands on him in the box. You get a set of vertical gripping hands. We get a set of spellcasting hands. And then we get a set of grasping, you know, kind of, you know, style posing hands as well. And it's also interesting to get these because we don't have a lot of these kind of hands for 2.0 figures in the line. So this is another way to, again, utilize stuff with other figures. He also has a very non-standard set of pauldrons. So it's not a set of pauldrons, it's a single piece. It still connects the same way. It pegs through the robe into his back, but you have this humongous gold collar that sits atop him over his shoulders and down the front of his chest. It still doesn't really get in the way of articulation too much. It does a little, but it's not as hindering as it might seem. And I also think it makes him look even more menacing. It certainly makes him look like, you know, more like a grand sorcerer or something like that. Something a little bit more important. So I'm really happy with this. I'm curious to try it out on other figures. We do get a little bits and bobs for the belt. So you get this little thing that sits over top of the belt that has little baubles and potion canisters. So I'm definitely going to throw one of these on Swig somehow. We get some other stuff too. You get this like crow's skull, and they've got this little clip, so it just sits over top of the belt. And then you get this other little bundle of bones. So you get 3 of these little, you know, belt doodads. We get his monstrous and amazing staff. I love this thing. This is a lot about this figure is giving me like my current favorite thing in Legions. This is, of course, you know, a modular piece, so the staff comes apart. It is jet black with varying finishes, matte and glossy. You've got this red jewel in the center up there. It's like cracked, and it's of course translucent. I love this. It's very big too. It's bigger than the figure itself. And then he also comes with 2 effect pieces. I believe both of these are in the effect sets in the Poxxus wave, but you know, everybody gets effects in this wave. So he's got a short and a long here. So you can use these on the staff, or of course you can use these in conjunction with those spellcasting hands to have him blasting some red force lightning at somebody. So like I said, this guy really does come with like something of everything. He's got a head, he's got hands, he's got a weird, crazy new set of pauldrons. He has belt doodads, he's got a staff, and he's got effects. Like there's just so much in this figure that is useful not only for ARRIZAK, but across the board because of so much stuff that you can utilize on other 2.0 figures. So in many ways, absolutely love this figure, but I really think what he brings to the table as far as accessories absolutely makes him kind of a must-have. So like I said, I'm really, really happy with this figure, but overwhelmingly for me, it's the fact that I was more interested in him after getting him out of the box than I ever expected I would be. This figure and the Good Wizard were really not the ones I was most interested in, and this happens a lot for me with Legions, but this guy is just so good on so many levels. I know the 2.0 body can be a little bit divisive for folks at times, but I'm still a big fan of it. I like the variance in size. I love the soft goods on this figure. I absolutely love the head sculpt, specifically that expressive alt head. He comes with so many accessories, 2 massive energy effects, that awesome staff, a whole bunch of hands. There's just so much value with this figure in particular. Even at just putting him with that staff, you have all those other accessories to use with other figures or to beef up your display. So there's a lot of options and potential when it comes to this figure. So that's going to do it for this look at the Mythic Legions Poxxus Wave ARRIZAK. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.